It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, ladies. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, amplifying women's voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, queen bee of this hive, your feminist life coach, psychotherapist, and unapologetic hype woman. Today, we are tackling a topic that's stirring conversations, challenging traditions, and liberating women from outdated expectations. The rise of the child-free woman, choosing a life without motherhood. Yep, you heard that right. We are smashing the stereotypes, shaking off society's dusty old scripts, and celebrating women who are boldly defining life on their own terms. No apologies, no explanations, just power. All right, my ladies, let's start with some facts, because nothing shatters stigma faster than the truth. Well, unless you're a member of a cult. But anyway, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 1 in 6 women between the ages of 30 and 44 are living child-free, either by choice or circumstance. But here's the kicker. A 2021 Michigan State University study found that over 27% of adults in the U.S. identify as child-free by choice. You know, that's not a tiny percentage. It's actually a cultural shift, a quiet revolution, one decision at a time. And yet, society still clings to a single narrative. Good women become mothers. Period. That has been the script for generations. So, when women challenge that script, people do not know what to do. Cue the judgment. You'll regret it. You're selfish. Or you'll change your mind. Spoiler alert. These women are not broken. They are not missing anything. They are rejecting a life that does not align with who they are. And that is courageous beyond words. And I know I have discussed this in prior episodes. The people who either choose to be child-free or can't have children. I have ranted and raved about women, like how I'm sick and tired of women being thought of as breeding stock. I think I even mentioned, I don't know how long ago this was, but I got pissed off because I think it was Marissa Tomei was celebrating maybe her 60th birthday. I can't remember. And she had posted this hot as hell picture of herself at 60, looking just smoking. And there were a bunch of nasty comments from men underneath talking about how she is no longer a productive member of society. She's worth nothing because her eggs are shriveled up and dead. Like all these comments. And again, I'm going to try not to go off about that because I already ranted about it in prior episodes. But again, it's worth reiterating that women are somehow thought of as breeding stock. I mean, it screams Handmaid's Tale vibes to me. And there's nothing wrong with choosing not to have kids. Now, I will say my heart really does go out to the women who do want to birth children of their own and are unable to do so. Because I don't wish that kind of disappointment and sadness on anyone. And I'm not going to minimize what you're going through. I'm not going to say things like, oh, but you could adopt and all this other stuff, because you're You're going through your grieving process, and it's valid and justified. And I hope if you are one of those listeners today that you don't get offended by what I'm going to say about being child-free, because this episode is talking specifically about women who are choosing it. And I am celebrating that. And if you're having a hard time hearing it because you didn't choose it, I'm so incredibly sorry for your circumstance. And I do not minimize it whatsoever. And maybe this is not the episode for you to listen to. Because I know how hurtful it can be when somebody is celebrating something that really hits a sore spot for you. So I get it. If you need to turn this episode off, if you need to skip it, that's fine. I validate your feelings. But also, this episode is not just for women who are choosing to live child-free. I mean, that's kind of the topic we're discussing, but also I'm hoping that my empty nesters get something out of it too. Because unlike what those horrible men said about Marissa Tomei, your life is not over when you're done raising children. So, for all of us out there who do not have children in our homes, this is for you. I want you to really take stock in this. And some things are going to apply and others not so much. But regardless, I hope that you take something from this. And also, for the men who happen to be listening to this, again, my podcast is not written for you, but if you could get something out of it, I celebrate that. And I'm so excited for you to take something positive away from this because, again, this podcast is for women, but if my guys who are listening or my non-binary people are listening, if you can get something out of this, I find great joy in that. So let's talk about why more women are choosing child-free living. Why are women opting out of motherhood? Let's unpack it, right? So I feel like one of the pieces, after speaking with so many women about this, is women are choosing authenticity over obligation. Some women simply don't feel called to be mothers, and that is more than okay. It is not a flaw, a missing piece, or a temporary phase. It's deep self-awareness and the courage to live aligned with that truth. And I am here for that. I celebrate that for you. I want to say something, and I just hope that if it gets back to my children, that they don't take it offensively. And if it does, children, please feel free to talk to me about it. But I chose to have children out of... No, I don't even know if I can say it like this. Oh, clearly I'm so uncomfortable talking about this because I don't want my kids to ever think anything that's really not in my heart. But okay, so I was raised in an era where, like, it was just expected that you, as a woman, you marry a man and you have children, and that is what you do. And I think I've even talked about it in other episodes before where I was in high school and I was just having a really hard time figuring out the college stuff. I didn't think I could afford it. I didn't understand about financial aid or anything before I actually went to college. And so, my parents didn't have a college fund. And so I didn't think I could go. And if I could go, I knew what I wanted to do, which is what I'm doing now, but I didn't think that I could financially go to both undergraduate college and graduate school. I didn't think I could do 6 to 8 years of higher education. And so I was talking to my guidance counselor, who was a man, and I was just very, very sad about all of it. I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents about how I was feeling because I didn't want them to feel guilty that they couldn't afford to send me to college, right? And the guidance counselor basically just minimized my distress and said, oh, you can just get married and have a man take care of you. You can just get married and be a mom and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you that destroyed me on so many levels. And so it just kind of reinforced the idea that a woman's job is to have children. And so that conversation shaped the next several years of my life. And so when I made the decision to get married and have kids and all that, it was kind of obligatory. And again, I don't want my kids to think that I didn't want them, because I wanted them more than anything. But it didn't come from my own mindset. It came from society's expectations of me as a woman. And now I will tell you, as a woman in her 50s with 2 married children, I do not have regrets. I have looked back on my life many, many times. I do not have any regrets for the choices that I made. I love the fact that I'm a mom. I do not regret that at all. What I regret is that society didn't afford me any other options to think about other than some archaic BS that motherhood is first and foremost a duty that I must fulfill. And so, did I make the choice to have children? Or was I just following along like a lemming in society? One of my girlfriends had a baby. And so, of course, I'm going to have a baby because that's just what we do. So, and this is where it just makes me so uncomfortable to talk about, because I don't ever want my kids to think that they weren't wanted, because they were. But what if? What if I considered other options? What if my husband and I had time before having children where we could establish our careers and have better financial independence? What would my children's lives have looked like? Because let me tell you, their childhood was not fabulous. I'm just going to put it right out there. My kids did not have the best childhood that they could have had, because my husband and I were poor, right? We did not have the money to do the things that we wished we could have done for our children. And that caused a lot of stress on our marriage and on our family. My husband was laid off at one point. We were down to not making crap. I don't know how we paid our bills half the time. And so that was the life that my children lived. They lived in poverty because I followed along with society's expectations of me as a woman. That was my first inclination, was to have children, instead of maybe stopping and thinking the whole thing through and realizing, oh, hey, maybe get your career settled first so that you can actually provide financially for children. Although I will say you can never really totally prepare for kids financially because they are expensive little suckers. But if we had taken the time to think things through a little bit more, and I feel like my kids would have lived a much different life, the life that I wanted them to live. They wouldn't have had two parents struggling financially to not allow them to feel the poverty that we were actually dealing with. And instead, what they experienced was two parents who were so freaking stressed out and exhausted at the end of their days because they busted their asses working so hard that they didn't have a whole lot of time to be parents the way they wanted to be. My husband has told me on countless occasions that he wishes he could have been there more for the kids, that he wishes that he could have taken our son alone and gone and done fun things with him and been more involved, like throwing a ball back and forth in the yard and like all the things that we could have done. Basically time. We wish that we could get back the time to spend with our kids. Okay, sorry. This episode is not supposed to be about my regrets as a mother, but honestly, my regrets as a mother, they're very relevant to what I'm talking about. Not because I didn't choose to be child-free, but because I allowed society to influence the timing of everything. So, let's get back to child-free choices. So, along with the authenticity piece in choosing to live child-free, there's also the choice of freedom and flexibility. When you don't have children, the ability to direct your own time, energy, and resources isn't just liberating, it's revolutionary. It means waking up each day knowing that you get to design a life full of purpose, joy, and possibility. Whether that's pursuing a bold career, traveling the world, building passion projects, creating art, or simply savoring slow, intentional living. Women are claiming their right to live expansively and unapologetically. And then how about the economic realities of living without children? Because as I mentioned before, the financial aspect of raising children is a major consideration. According to a 2023 USDA report, the average cost of raising a child in the U.S. is around $310,000 from birth to age 18. It has gone up. And that is before college even enters the equation. So even though this report is 2 years old, everybody who's listening knows that life is a lot more expensive than it was 2 years ago. So add to that $310,000. With inflation driving costs higher each year, many women are asking, is this the life I truly want? And does it align with my goals? And then with these younger generations, there's an environmental and societal awareness. Some women weigh the bigger picture, considering how climate change, overpopulation, and global economic instability may affect the future. For them, choosing to live child-free can be a conscious, values-driven decision about the kind of impact they want to leave on the world. When I was in my 20s, I did not give that concept one single thought. And you know what? At the core of all of this, agency. The radical idea that women get to define what a full and meaningful life looks like for themselves. So let's just bust a few myths while we're here. Myth number 1, child-free women are selfish. Reality, choosing a life that honors your deepest values and authentic desires is not selfish. It's a courageous act of responsibility and self-respect. Myth number 2, they'll regret it. Reality, extensive research shows that child-free women consistently report high levels of fulfillment, life satisfaction, and overall well-being, often equal to or even exceeding that of parents. And just as a reminder, this is for women that have chosen to be child-free. Myth number 3, motherhood is the only path to legacy. Reality, legacy is not limited to raising children. It can shine through your creative work, the careers you build, the communities that you uplift, the movements that you inspire, and the countless lives that you influence simply by living boldly and authentically. Because let me tell you, when I die, I believe that my legacy isn't going to be about parenthood. I hope that my legacy is that of a badass, unapologetic feminist who worked her life to empower women and inspire change in society. Do I want my kids to think that I was a great mom? Yes, of course. But that's, and this is going to sound crappy, that's 2 people. That's not legacy to me. I want to impact society. If you're listening to me, I want to impact your life. That is a legacy that I want to leave. I don't just want to be known as a woman who did her obligatory duty of being a mom. So let's talk about actionable steps that you can take for owning your choice. Whether you are proudly child-free or exploring your feelings about it, here are some steps to help you stand firmly in your truth. Step number 1, challenge the narrative. When someone throws the classic line, "You'll change your mind," respond with calm confidence. "I trust my self-knowledge more than your assumptions, and I'm building a life that feels right for me." Step number 2, build a supportive circle. Surround yourself with people who genuinely respect and celebrate your life choices. Seek out online communities, empowering meetups, or intentionally curated friend circles where authenticity is honored and judgment has no seat at the table. Step number 3, create your fulfillment map. Take time to visualize and write down what true success, deep joy, and genuine meaning look like for you. Not the version society tries to hand you. Map it out like a personal blueprint for your best life. And finally, step number 4, release the guilt. Because ladies, living differently isn't rebellion. It's radical self-respect. Release the weight of others' expectations and stand in your truth. Repeat, I am allowed to design, choose, and live a life that feels deeply right for me. All right, time for our quote of the week. And this comes to you from an unknown source. This person says, "Your life is your message to the world. Make sure it is inspiring." So, whether or not motherhood is part of your path, what matters is that your life feels like your own masterpiece. I can tell you that even though the timing of my choice was not fabulous, I am solid in my choice to have children, and I do not regret that. My only regret is that I allowed society to determine what I should do with my life, when I should do it, what I should prioritize. So ladies, throw all that crap out the window. Search yourself, your soul. What do you want out of life? And newsflash, that can change. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. All right, Hive. Here's today's truth bomb. Choosing to live child-free is not a rejection of womanhood. It's a radical act of self-trust. It is proof that fulfillment has more than one definition, and you alone get to write yours. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a review on your favorite podcast platform. And join our Facebook group where we are rewriting the rules of what womanhood can be. And as always, if you're having a hard time figuring some of this stuff out, if you don't know how to set those boundaries about what you want in life, how to get it, reach out to me. I'm here to help. Until next time, Queen, stay bold, stay unapologetic, and keep amplifying your voice. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.